Some rather dubious looking solder joints on here, especially here. I'll put some pictures up on the screen now and you can see they don't look the best. Yeah. There's a date code here. Let me get a picture. So on the screen there you can see 21st of the 10/77. That's when this PCB was made. Right, I'm just going to IPA this board up because I can't work with that bit looking like that. Right, this is in a bit of a state, but I'm sure it'll come up quite nice. There's all the old flux coming off. Right, let me do that off camera and I'll be back. So these two unknown capacitors are in series, so they're joined like this, one on top of each other. What I want to do is carefully get these out. Now, where are they going? They're going in between there. So they're underneath these two resistors, so I'll have to lift those. This is where all that dodgy soldering is, and then we'll have to pull out the top terminal there. Just warm the iron up a bit. I'll be back. Right, I've lifted the two bleed resistors up this end. What we need to do now is somehow get this out of here. Let me get a bit of solder wick. Right, I'm just trying to get this other leg of this capacitor off. There's a hell of a lot of solder on here. Might have to get my solder sucker. Just need this leg out of the way first. Get this one up. Now that's interesting. What have they got? A wire bridge across there. They've broken the track. Interesting. Alright, let's get all this solder out. There it is. Now it's lifting up. Right. I think. Yeah. Come on. Yes, they're free. Right. So there's the two, and I've soldered the bottom leg to the top leg of the other one. So basically they're just running in series. So let's cut this off and see what's written on these capacitors, if anything is. Has it got any values on it? Oh. The answer is yes, it has. Right, so we've got 60 microfarads, 250 volts, and 60 microfarads, 250 volts. So in series, that would be, in theory, if it works the same as other components, 120 microfarads. I want to take this other one off. Can I see the value on there? written down the back. Where's my torch? Right, I'm just going to have to clean up this other one to be able to read it. Hold on. Right, I've desoldered that one. So this blue one is 100 microfarad, 500 volt device. Here, in series, we've got two 60 microfarad, 250 volt devices. Now, I think the 1660 would make this 120 microfarads versus 100. Now, on a capacitor, you do get plus or minus 20%, so this could go up to 120 microfarads, but then it's out of spec. So, for whatever reason, we've got odd value capacitors in there. But we've got to test these. So, let's quickly... Oh, actually, no, we'll leave them together, and I'll test them in the tester to see what we get. I better get my discharge tool as well, actually, to make sure there's no voltage left in them. But yeah, 100 microfarads, 120 microfarads, you don't normally do that, you have the same. So that's definitely not right. Right, so these capacitors have been wired in what's called series. So this is the plus end, this is the minus end, this is the plus end, this is the minus end. So they've been wired in a line. There's two types that you can do. You can either do them in series or parallel, where they're side by side with both the plus terminals connected and both the negative, but this is series. Now I think we found a major problem here. Let's do some math. So whoever fitted these capacitors into this unit had some rudimentary knowledge of electronics, but they've got it completely wrong. When you connect capacitors in series, it's not C1 plus C2, so 60 microfarad plus 60 microfarad gives you 120 microfarads. It's actually 1 over C1 plus C2. So if we go across to here, so these are 60 microfarads, so it's 1 over 1C plus 1C2. So it's 1 over 0.16 plus 1 over 0.16 gives you a combined value and an output of 30 microfarads. It actually diminishes the value and halves it. So they thought they were getting 120, but by doing them in series, what they've actually got is 30 microfarads. So we was running one capacitor at 100 microfarads, the other one at 30. What an imbalance. The voltage is correct. When they're in series, it's 250 volt plus 250 volt. So they did have 500 volt, but they cocked up here and got this round the wrong way. They thought that what you do with resistors was the same with capacitors, and it's not. So this is a big fundamental problem. It was actually 5 AM when I got up this morning on Sunday morning. So yeah, it was bugging me, and I'm glad that I did what I did, because we now found quite a major fault here. So let's get my discharge unit and just make sure all of these are all discharged before we... So what you do with the discharge unit is you touch it to either end. So we've got negative at that end, positive at that end, like so. And if there's anything in there, one of these lights will come on. And there's nothing, they're discharged. And that one's discharged, so they're both good to handle. Right, let's test these in the series first. We get 7335 nanofarads, which is 7.3 microfarads, and we're looking for 100. That's good, isn't it? So they were spot on, nothing wrong with them at all. Right, let's test these individually. Connect that one on there. So that's supposed to be 60 microfarads. We've got 16.78, So that's shot. And that's 13.79 microfarads, so they're shot, absolutely shot. Let's test the big blue one. So we get 2002 microfarads, which, considering it's supposed to be 100, yeah, we need to replace these capacitors big time. Right, so at least we found that. So because of the wrong capacitors being fitted and the values being so far out, we now need to test every single other component on the board, because potentially that could have damaged those as well. But I've got to source these first. Next component I'm going to start with, there's a 100 microfarad 16 volt electrolytic on the back here. We'll desolder that and we'll test that. I'm going to replace that because with the wrong components being fitted, most of the other components potentially could have been damaged, so we're going to test them out anyway. But caps go bad with age, so these could probably do with replacing anyway.